right, welcome back everybody to another edition of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those cheap books that you can still find tucked away in those cheap boxes at either your LCS, yard sales, garage sales, flea markets, wherever you do your cheap comic book hunting. These are like a couple of little treasures you still might be able to pick out when you go doing your digging. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like, subscribe, keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel and keep doing some more giveaways. We are having a lot of fun giving you guys content. I was going to do a holiday themed, selection of books, but it doesn't seem like everybody likes the holiday actual themes. I did Thanksgiving. Nobody seemed to really be into that all that much. So we're just going to do more of a regular episode here, despite the extra accoutrement that I have on around and about while we do today's Christmas Eve episode. Yes, I was supposed to drop yesterday, but I had too much to do, so I am doing this one today. So for Christmas Eve, I got a few books that are going to relate back to Hawkeye. So if you haven't finished up Hawkeye, don't watch this video as of yet. There's going to be spoilers to what happened in the finale of Hawkeye and some books related to that. So if you haven't seen it yet, this is your warning to just watch this later. Go check out Hawkeye. It was a great series, a great way to wrap up the little mini for Disney Plus. Go watch it first, and then you can come back and watch this video. So with that said, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I'll be back with this week's selection of books. All right, so as I teased in the open, you've been warned. If you haven't seen Hawkeye yet, now's your time to go again. Turn this off, save this for later, put this on your queue or playlist to watch later, because we are going to be talking some spoilers of things that happened in that Hawkeye finale that dropped this week. As we look forward to Boba Fett next week, let's just take this moment to wrap up what we saw with Hawkeye. So again, this is your final warning, because we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about stuff that's related to what happened in that finale episode, starting with this reveal about the watch. Now, I know there was a lot of speculation about where this, what this watch connected to, and this was kind of my guess, even though, we might not have talked about it here or there. This is what my wife and I were talking about on the outside. And I figured they were going to make this shift in the MCU because it just made too much sense not to. So once we get the watch, we see that it was actually Laura Barton's watch. Well, Laura in this MCU universe, who is Agent 19. And if you know or don't know, Agent 19 is actually the shield number for Mockingbird, who, in the Marvel universe, in the 616, did actually get married to Hawkeye, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But by connecting this dot here and making Linda Cardellini from Freaks and Geeks, Hawkeye's wife in the MCU, Mockingbird in this universe, that makes Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., who had Adrian Padalecki as their Mockingbird, possibly another universe now, which I think they were doing that anyway. I think they were taking Coulson's team, and I like that show, but I feel like they're now making that a separate universe, a variant universe here in the multiverse. So now that is not directly connected any longer. So I don't know what that means for the Agent Carter series as well, another show that I liked, but that stuff now seems to be kind of over there. Little separate thing that happened, kind of like, I don't know, some of the older movies and the Fox universe. It's all going to be separate, reality, separate universes here in the MCU multiverse. So this is no longer our Mockingbird in the Marvel MCU, I guess, the cinematic universe at least. So one book you might still be able to dig out of those cheap boxes, because I don't know if you guys see like things like Astonishing Tales and Kazar, but I occasionally come through some of this like older Bronze Age stuff where it's just tossed in a bin. They may not be in the greatest of shape, but I've come across things like this every now and again. And Astonishing Tales number 18, which is focusing on Kazar, actually had, Mockingbird, running through some of that series. She was kind of became a love interest of Kazar at this time in her Marvel career. And it is in this issue 18, where we do learn that she is Agent 19. So the first Agent 19 in comics, or when she's referred to that by as her shield number, her shield call sign, or whatever, is in this issue when Fury is telling her to report in, Agent 19. So as you know, Agent 23 Sharon Carter. Well, Agent 19 here is Mockingbird. So Bobby Morse, sorry if I didn't say her name previously. Bobby Morse is the Mockingbird in the Marvel comic book universe, and I don't know if that's actually Laura's real name, maybe in the MCU. I mean, that kind of bit is just an extra finer detail that we don't need to really dig into right now. She could have taken on another identity when she got out of the game and married Hawkeye just to kind of protect herself and all that. Who knows? Maybe they'll explain it. Maybe they won't. It's really kind of irrelevant. This is just kind of fun little connective thing that we can connect the comics to the shows and the movies. So Agent 19 is first revealed here in this Astonishing Tales 18. Again, this book is not super duper expensive. You can see copies sold December 23rd, December 22nd, $5, $9. So it's not that pricey, even if you see it selling online. There are more expensive copies. Don't get me wrong. I just picked a couple of examples that sold recently, which were on the cheaper side. And if you want to go shopping for one of these, you can also see, well, look, it could be as cheap as $250 or expensive, $28. So it could get a little pricier out there as well. And there are more expensive copies than that. It's just, these are just a couple of examples to give you an idea of some of the asking prices and a couple of the sales that happened somewhat recently. So you got an idea of the market. Again, you do with that information what you want. I'm talking about finding these things in like $1, $2 bin. These are the kind of things I say, just grab it at that price. Anything beyond that, these numbers are here to give you a sense of whether you want to pay more for something like that or whether you want to sell the copy that you have because you think you can get a good return on that. That's your call to make. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just giving you some options of things to keep an eye out for when you're digging in those boxes and back issue bins for some cheap stuff. Now, as we were mentioning before, so now that Laura Barton in the MCU is the MCU's Mockingbird, that kind of will connect us here. As I mentioned in the comics, they did get married. So if this is the same person, whether she's Bobby Morse or not, Laura Barton is Clint's wife. And as I said, in the comics, they ended up getting married at the end of this Hawkeye miniseries. This was, I think, 1983. It was a 4-issue limited series. It was a Hawkeye and Mockingbird kind of running together through this whole mini. It was a fun little story. So if you can find these, pick them all up. They're not that expensive. You might be able to come across these in a cheap box too. No super duper firsts or anything like that, like some of the other Hawkeye series that people have been digging and hunting the last few months as we were looking forward to what may be coming in this Disney Plus show. And we may be getting more Hawkeye going forward. Who knows? Maybe we get another series. But this was a 4-issue series. That was issue 1. Here's issue 2. And then there's issue 3 there. Again, you can see the two of them working side by side in tandem throughout this 4-issue limited series. And then we have here the final issue, issue 4. And it's inside this where we get the epilogue once they wrap up the story and the heroes win the day. That we find that looks like they might have went and eloped. Like that's the context that we get here, with this little bed and breakfast, I guess, that they are staying at. They're talking about getting the license and the blood test, all things related to, getting married. And then, we have them finishing up here in the hot tub. And Mrs. Hawkeye is how he refers to her. So this is technically, even though we didn't see like an old school, Lois and Clark or Peter Parker and MJ, Spider-Man married, like no big wedding edition, Scott Summers, Jean Grey. That's the implication here, is that off panel, these two got married, and this would be the issue that they did. So if you're looking for the issue where Hawkeye and Mockingbird got married, well, it would be Hawkeye number 4 here. So again, just a fun little book that you can go dig out if you find it in a box. It's not like a major key issue or anything like that demands like some super high prices. It's just a fun little thing, I think. A fun little nugget and a thing to just, kind of go hunt. This is the kind of stuff that I like digging for because it's cheap. So this issue 4, what does it sell for? Well, you can see here, December 23rd sold for $8 for just issue 4 alone. And you can see December 22nd, the whole mini could sell for like $35. So if you find these all in a dollar bin, if you spend $4 and you can get 35, that's not a bad little return, I think. So just something to keep an eye out for, And if you want to go shopping because you don't feel like digging, well, that's up to you as well. And you can see this copy alone can be had for as cheap as like $2.65, and you can find those sets also for as cheap as like $25. So again, not terrible. So up to you what you want to do with this information. All right. One more little tidbit to tie into that Hawkeye finale. As we also know, we finally did get Kingpin showing up. All the teases and the little one-panel screens and things like that. We finally got to see Wilson Fisk in the MCU. And I got to admit, this isn't exactly how I saw him. I didn't know they were going to like kind of superpower him up a bit. Like, I don't know, something's going on. They're going to need to explain it because he was running through like a tank in that episode, even in the Hawaiian shirt. That all said, it was still nice to see. I do like Vincent D'Onofrio. I mean, I did like Michael Clark Duncan's rendition of Kingpin as well, but unfortunately he's passed away, so we can't get that back again. But here we go with D'Onofrio, who I do like, again, in the role. Now, will we get more of them? I think we obviously do, despite the little the cliffhanger, I guess, that they left us with. Again, we're all doing spoilers here, so you guys have hopefully all seen the episode. But cutting it off there, where we didn't see what happened with Maya, they're implying that she shot him in the face. Who knows how exactly it's going to play out, but I'm pretty sure we didn't go all through all of this just for Kingpin to be a one-off, one episode on a Disney Plus show and never see him again. I think we're going to see this a bit more play out in the Echo series, if that even ends up being an Echo series, because I think that could have just been a backdoor way for them to bring Daredevil in to the Disney universe, but we'll see. But anyway, that moment actually does get lifted a bit from the comics. I'm sure you see it in other places as well. Like, I'm not the only person reporting this. This has been out there for the last week or so as everybody's connecting this dot, but this book is still relatively easy to find and cheaper than the rest. Not this book. We're going to start here with number 9, which is obviously first Echo, first Maya Lopez, which is a very expensive book these days. Got very, very pricey. I remember finding these in dollar bins all the time, and you flip them for like 10, 15 bucks and be happy. Now this thing is like hundreds of dollars, apparently. I don't know, but it is what it is. And then you could follow through issue 10's another great cover. And this first run with 11, 12, a bunch of great covers, a great story if you can find them. I mean, pick up the trade if you can, because you're probably not going to find 9 and 10 at a price that's too cheap. But you still may be able to find some of the other issues after 9 and 10 for not that bad. And they're all kind of in that like $10 range, maybe even up to 15 bucks in some cases, depending on the covers and whatnot. But that's really how this run has kind of gone recently. But you can still sometimes find some of these other ones in those cheap boxes because the only people are digging are for the 9 and the 10. They don't care about the rest. So besides the 9 and 10, and then you get the later ones like, what is it, 51 to 54, another origin part of her story. There's another ones people have been digging for, but people, I think, have neglected the rest of this first storyline. So issue 15 is sitting out there. And it's in this issue 15, where we see this moment kind of play out where, Echo has the gun right into Kingpin's face and she blasts him. Yeah, lifted right from the comics. Granted, this takes place in a ring and not in an alleyway, and she looks a bit different than she does in the MCU version. But I mean, basically, they're playing it out this very similarly. So this is kind of what we were seeing at the end of that show. So definitely pretty interesting. And again, they even here for a moment imply like, look, it looks like Kingpin's dead and she killed him. Just like I think they're leaving us hanging with the Disney Plus show. But I seriously doubt that Kingpin is gone. I think we will still see Wilson Fisk going forward. Now, will we see him like this, where what Echo did was blind him? Possibly. Maybe she blinds him with that blast. Maybe she fires a blank. I don't know. Perhaps she blinds him in the MCU for a time. I also think it's possible she might have just fired close to his ear and made him deaf, like her. I don't know. That's more of along the lines I was thinking, because we haven't seen that connection to Daredevil yet in the MCU part. So until we see Matt Murdock run across Wilson Fisk, I don't know if they're going to do the connection there with Kingpin blind. I think they might go the deaf angle to match him up more with Echo at this point in the MCU, at least. I don't know, just what I'm thinking. I mean, either way, I think they can play it out. It'll play out basically the same. But I still think we're getting more Kingpin, and he's just probably going to be with a little bit of a disability for a time, because they'll probably undo it sooner rather than later, especially with this superpowered Kingpin that we're seeing. He's throwing people, getting knocked through walls by cars. Craziness. But like I said, this issue 15 is one that can still be found out there. If you go looking, you can see even online, it doesn't sell for all that much. $4. No, just under $10, $8. Like, it is not an expensive book. And again, it's not a huge key. It's just a fun little moment that ties back to something we just saw on screen, streaming at home or whatever. But it's just a fun little connection there with the comics to, what the shows and TV and movies and stuff we're watching. I think it's kind of fun. And if you want to go shopping for one, you can go and find this thing out there for $7 or even up to $20 now, because I think people are now starting to sell this at a premium and list this at a premium because of this connection. So don't overpay. That's my suggestion, at least, is not to go overpaying. Don't go buying this for $20 out there. This is not a $20 book. Just go and find it if you can for cheap, because it's kind of a fun little thing. And get it for the whole story so you can read it, but don't go investing a ton of money into this, because this is not something that's going to be like a mega issue people are going to be digging for down the line, where it's like, oh my God, this is $50. I doubt that's going to happen. So that's just my suggestion. But do what you like. It's your money. You spend it how you like. Again, this recommendation is for picking things out of those cheap boxes. Now, those are all the spoilers I have for Hawkeye. That's it. But I felt like this was going to be a little bit short, so I did add one more little book based off of an announcement, I guess, that of something we're getting down the line, which is going to be this crossover between this crossover battle between Hulk and Thor, where the Banner of War is coming in 2022. So Donny Cates, writing both titles, is going to do a little crossover series where Hulk seems to be fighting Thor once again for their 60th anniversary. Now, we've seen these two cross paths many of times, especially on screen. I mean, even if you go back to the old school Hulk Lou Ferrigno show, there we go. We got Hulk and Thor there. I don't know if you remember that. And go back to the first Avengers movie. These two tangled a little bit. And then probably everybody's favorite in as far as these two battling was in Ragnarok, when they were there on Sakaar. But I don't know, something to look forward to, again, for their 60th anniversary. I mean, there's going to be a lot of 60th anniversary issue things, I think, coming out next year. I mentioned it when I did the 50th anniversary for Spidey, that, they're probably going to do a 60 for Spidey. And yeah, we're getting stuff. So we're getting stuff for all these heroes, as all these milestones are basically at the same time for a bunch of their big heavy hitters. So we're going to get this Banner of War mini, I guess, event of some kind coming next year. Now, I realize you might want to go back and think, well, what's the first time these two faced off? Well, you could look towards Avengers 1, which, yes, obviously you're not buying an Avengers 1 out of a dollar bin. But is this even really the first time they battle? Because if you read the story, it's more of a Loki hologram, and they don't actually cross paths. It's just actually Hulk versus Loki here. So I wouldn't say personally that this is the first time these two fought, because they didn't really fight. I think it's not until like issue 3 of Avengers where they actually do. But I don't know if that's such a big deal to go hunt, because isn't that even that great of a battle there either? It's just kind of a little, comic book thingy. But yes, in this issue of Avengers, you can see there's not really the two of them. It's a Loki, hologram or whatever you want to call it. But still, if you're curious and you want to go find it, you may not be able to find that in a dollar bin, but I always recommend looking out for those reprints. So keep an eye out for these Marvel masterpieces, because these can do all right. Certain issues, people go back and look for, because they can't afford the originals. So some people want to have an Avengers 1 in their collection, like myself. I'm not getting an Avengers 1, or at least I'm not going to pay for an Avengers 1. So I'm happy to just have something like this in my collection as a placeholder for now, until I either get the money, get lucky, or however I come across it. But even these reprintings can, do all right if you can find them in a cheap box. Examples. So what does this Marvel Milestone edition sell for? Well, you can see it can sell for like $5, $12.50, which seems pretty cheap. But sometimes it can go for a bit more. And you can see some of the asking prices out there. You can see $30 to $45. And this is really it. There are a lot of copies out there. So if people want to go buy these now, they got to pay more of these prices than the $5 prices. So be patient. You might be able to find one for cheap, but I'm just saying these could be good finds if you're also a person who likes to dig and then resell. So if that's what you like to do, I mean, I do it occasionally too. You find stuff in those cheap boxes and then you try to flip them so you can get some money to buy some other comic books. Hey, we all hobby how we want to hobby. This is our thing to do. So do what you like. Do what makes you happy. But another popular issue for these two crossing paths is Journey into Mystery. And this, right here on the cover, pretty cool cover. Journey into Mystery 112. So you got Thor versus the Incredible Hulk. Classic issue. Again, this is not something you're going to find at a dollar bin. You're just not. This is an expensive book. Maybe not as expensive as Avengers 1, but it's still not cheap. So don't find this. Probably won't find this in a dollar bin. But another reminder, don't ignore the reprints. Even these newer reprints that we've been getting the last few years, these True Believer reprints. I know you look at it and go, oh, this is another, they're throwing more and more dollar reprints at us. And they're like $1 book. They come out for $1. But some of these, just get hard to find because I think a lot of shops just don't order a ton of them, and they just, what are we going to do with this stuff? A lot of this back stock and whatnot. But some of these, not all of them. Don't get me wrong. Not every one of these is gold, but some of these can do all right, including this particular one. So if you find this True Believers out there in a $1 box, or even on the shelf for $1, because I believe that's what the True Believers cost, you can see this thing can sell December 9th, about $6 with $10 shipping, so it's closer to 16. And you can see December 14th, the copy sold for 18, and that had almost $20 shipping from Australia. So somebody dropped almost $40 for one of these, and that's a True Believers. Not saying that's what they all cost or what they're all going to go for. I'm just using these as examples of sales that this True Believer has moved for. And if you look at asking prices, well, they're all $30 right now. Like I looked, there's 3 different copies, and there wasn't anything less. I think there might have even been one that was more, but there's 3 copies out there from different sellers, and they're all asking $30 for this True Believers reprint. So, as I said, some of these things can do all right in the aftermarket if you can find them. So keep an eye out for them. Just don't ignore it because you're like, this crappy reprint, this True Believer thing. But some of them do all right, and it's just good to know which ones do. So here's one that you can look out for. And if you just want to check it out and read it ahead of the Banner of War mini event, whatever it is, then you got that too. All right, so with that said, thank you all for stopping by. Thank you all for checking in. I appreciate all the support for the channel. Like I said, keep telling your friends, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Yeah, have a happy holiday. I hope to see you guys soon. I'll be dropping some more content probably next week. I'm probably going to take Christmas Day off just for a break, but I don't know. We got more things. I got more things in the hopper, more things coming, including a live show on Sunday here on Rennavision. So if you want to check out the Star Wars show, we will be doing a live show still this weekend with the crew and going to do our Boba Fett draft. Looking forward to the Boba Fett Disney Plus show, as well as I think we're going to open up our Christmas presents and all that fun stuff and show off our pickups that everybody got for the from the big day. So hopefully you guys will join us there. It's a fun and lively chat, and I will see you guys all soon with some more content. So be safe, be well, happy holidays, and I'll see you soon.